The sun was setting over the jagged peaks of Zithra 7, painting the sky in shades of crimson and gold. Captain Auric Vane adjusted his worn jacket and glanced at the rocky landscape. The planet was known for its harsh environment and dangerous outposts, but Auric had been through worse. He had a knack for getting into places no one else dared to go, and somehow, he always came out alive. He walked cautiously along the path leading to the main settlement, a small cluster of metallic huts that clung to the cliffside like stubborn barnacles. The settlement was quiet, almost too quiet. Normally, he would hear the chatter of merchants, the clang of machinery, or the hum of hovering drones. But today, silence hung heavy in the air, broken only by the distant cry of some unknown creature. Auric paused, hand resting on the grip of his energy sidearm. Not that he wanted to use it. He preferred brains over bullets. "Something's off," he muttered to himself. He had been traveling alone for weeks, and while loneliness wasn't unusual, danger often followed in the shadows of abandoned settlements. As he stepped closer, a sudden shout broke the stillness. "Help! Someone, please!" Auric's heart skipped a beat. He moved quickly toward the sound, sliding behind a large rock for cover. There, in the center of the settlement's main square, he saw her. A young alien woman, her silver hair glinting in the dying sunlight, trapped by two hulking figures. They were the kind of creatures that made humans nervous just by looking at them. Muscular, with thick, armored skin and glowing amber eyes. One of them raised a jagged club, and the woman flinched. Without thinking, Auric stepped forward. "Hey!" he shouted. The figures turned, surprised by the sudden human voice. He raised his hands, pretending confidence he didn't fully feel. "Over here! Why don't you come get me?" It worked better than he expected. The two creatures hesitated, unsure what to make of the small human who dared challenge them. That hesitation was all Auric needed. He dashed toward the nearest stack of crates, grabbed a length of rope, and swung it like a lasso. One of the creatures stumbled and fell, giving him enough time to reach the woman. "Quick, grab my hand," he said, offering her his. She hesitated for only a moment before taking it. Her skin was smooth, her fingers slender but strong. "Thank you," she whispered. "No time. Come on." Auric pulled her toward the shadows, weaving between crates and discarded machinery. The creatures roared in frustration, but Auric had already prepared for them. He kicked a metal barrel, sending it rolling toward their attackers. The clatter startled the creatures, and they stumbled, giving the pair a clear path to the edge of the settlement. They ran together, hearts pounding, until they reached a narrow canyon that split the cliffs. Auric looked down. The canyon was deep, jagged rocks lining the bottom, a fall that would certainly be fatal. He glanced back at the creatures. They were close enough that he could hear their growls. Then he noticed a series of cables stretching across the canyon, old maintenance lines from a long-abandoned mining operation. "Jump!" he shouted. The woman's eyes widened. "You're insane!" she gasped. "No time to argue!" He grabbed her hand and ran. Together they leapt, landing awkwardly on the other side. Auric tumbled, scraping his arm, but he pushed himself up immediately. The woman's landing was more graceful, and she smiled briefly, impressed despite the danger. They didn't wait to celebrate. The creatures were gaining ground, snarling and shaking their heads. Auric spotted an old storage shed and darted inside. The metal door groaned as he slammed it shut behind them. Inside, the air was musty and thick with dust, but it was safe for the moment. The woman sank to the floor, breathing heavily. You saved me. Who are you?" she asked, still catching her breath. "Name's Auric Vane. Traveler, problem solver, occasional hero," he said with a grin, though he winced at the word hero. "And you are?" "Serenia," she replied. Her voice was soft but carried a quiet strength. "And I owe you my life." Auric waved his hand. "Don't mention it." just doing what anyone would do. He sounded confident, but inside he was calculating. Something about her didn't feel ordinary. There was an intelligence in her eyes, a curiosity that seemed almost dangerous. Serenia looked at him closely. Most would have just run. You did not. She paused. There is a custom in my people. When someone saves your life, a debt is formed, a bond that lasts forever. Auric blinked. Forever? That's a long time. Yes, she said simply. But I will honor it. Before he could respond, a loud crash shook the shed. The creatures had followed them inside. Auric's mind raced. He had to get them out, and fast. He grabbed a broken pipe from the corner and spun it in his hands, not very effective, but enough to make a loud clang. The noise echoed through the building, and the creatures hesitated. Follow me, he whispered. They slipped through, a side exit he had noticed earlier, winding through narrow passages between the cliffs. They moved quickly, shadows among shadows, until finally they reached a ledge that overlooked the lower plains of Zithera 7. From there, Auric could see a shuttle in the distance, waiting for him. We can make it, he said, helping Serenia, up the rocky path. They ran, the wind cutting against their faces, the sunset casting long shadows. The creatures roared behind them, but eventually the sounds faded as the distance grew. When they reached the shuttle, Auric keyed the controls and opened the door. After you, he said. Serenia stepped inside, her gaze meeting his for a long moment. You have done more than save me, she said. You have changed my life. Auric shrugged, trying to hide the stir of pride he felt. Just a favor, he said. But Serenia's expression told him she meant it differently. She looked at him with a respect, and something deeper, that made his stomach tighten. He waved as the shuttle powered up and lifted off. He had no idea that this small act of bravery would follow him for the rest of his life. Auric turned back to the cliffs of Zithera 7 one last time, before the shuttle vanished. Into the sky. The planet looked quiet again, almost peaceful. But he knew the universe was never simple, and debts like the one he had unknowingly earned could have strange, unpredictable consequences. As the shuttle soared through the atmosphere, Auric allowed. Himself a small laugh. I saved her, and now she'll probably tell the galaxy about me. Great. Serenia, sitting quietly across from him, was not laughing, but in her eyes burned a quiet determination. She had made a promise, and no matter what, she intended to keep it. And in keeping it, she would change not only Auric's life, but perhaps the fate of many worlds. The stars stretched out before them, endless and full of possibility. And somewhere in that vast expanse, the seeds of an extraordinary bond had been planted, one that would grow far beyond anything Auric had ever imagined. The shuttle glided smoothly through the quiet void of space, stars stretching endlessly in every direction. Captain Auric Vane sat in the pilot's seat, hands resting loosely on the controls, though he barely needed them. The ship had an autopilot, system sophisticated enough to handle even the trickiest of routes. Yet he kept his eyes on the holographic star map, scanning for any unexpected obstacles. Across from him, Serenia remained silent. Her silver hair shimmered in the soft glow of the cockpit lights, and her eyes, bright and alert, seemed to observe every detail of the ship. Auric stole a glance at her, curiosity rising. She was unlike any being he had met before. Intelligent, confident, and completely aware of her surroundings. You're quiet, Auric said finally, breaking the silence. Usually people talk during a flight like this. I am considering the consequences of your actions, she replied evenly. Her voice was calm, but carried a weight that made him sit up straighter. Saving my life? It is no ordinary favor. Auric raised an eyebrow. Consequences? I just helped you out of a jam. That's it. Serenia shook her head gently. No, Auric Vane. In my culture, a debt is more than repayment. It is a bond that ties two lives together. You saved me, and for that, I am forever connected to you. I will honor that connection in all ways my people allow. Auric leaned back in his seat, trying to process her words. Forever connected? You mean, like friends? No, she said softly. Far more than that. I owe you my life, my loyalty, and my future. You will find that the universe changes for those who hold such bonds. He laughed nervously. Great. So I save one person, and suddenly I'm tied to some ancient alien law? Sounds complicated. Serenya's lips curved into the faintest of smiles. Complicated, yes, but necessary. The shuttle approached the orbit of her home planet, Lithera Prime. Auric's eyes widened as the planet came into view. Unlike Zithera 7, with its rugged cliffs and harsh terrain, Lithera Prime was lush and vibrant. Towering crystal spires shimmered in the sunlight, surrounded by forests of bioluminescent trees. Rivers of liquid silver reflected the skies, and small flying vehicles darted like glowing insects among the cities. Auric whistled softly. Okay, I have to admit, this is impressive. Serenya's expression remained serious. It is home, and you will soon understand the importance of the debt you have earned here. The shuttle landed gracefully on a platform high above the main city. Servos hummed, and magnetic locks engaged as the door slid open. Auric stepped out, adjusting his jacket as he took in the view. Below, the city sprawled like a living organism. Strange, elegant structures rose into the sky, connected by bridges that seemed to float. Beings of all shapes and sizes moved along the streets, some walking, some flying, some gliding on hover pads. You're not just taking me home, Auric said cautiously. You're showing me your society. Yes, Serenya replied, and it is time you understand the debt fully. My people respect strength, intelligence, and courage, but above all, they respect bonds. A debt like mine cannot be ignored. It will follow me, and by extension, it will follow you. They moved through the city, Serenya guiding him with ease. Auric could not help but notice the subtle ways people reacted to her presence. Heads turned, conversations paused, and a few beings bowed slightly as they passed. It was clear she was someone important, someone with influence. Yet, she moved with humility, as if nothing extraordinary had happened. You are respected, Auric said quietly as they walked through a bustling plaza. Is that because of me? Serenya glanced at him, a faint smile on her lips. Partly. They do not yet know the extent, but your actions have already made a difference. You saved my life in a way that few could. That act alone is remarkable to my people. Auric shook his head in disbelief. I just did what anyone would do in my place. Most would not, Serenya said. Most would run or hesitate or fail, but you did not. And that is why the bond exists. That is why I will honor it. They reached a tall, elegant building at the heart of the city. Crystal walls reflected the sunlight, casting rainbows across the plaza. Serenya led him inside, where the air was cooler and filled with a faint hum of energy. Beings moved gracefully. Through the halls, some pausing to acknowledge Serenya as she passed. Welcome to the council hall, she said. Here, decisions that affect our people are made, and here you will understand the weight of the bond you have created. Auric's eyes widened. Council? Like leaders? Yes, Serenya replied, and soon they will meet you. Not as a stranger, but as someone who has earned respect. The bond between us elevates your presence here. A large chamber opened before them, filled with beings seated in circular arrangements. Crystal panels glowed with data streams, and holographic displays floated above each seat. At the center stood a figure taller than most, draped in robes of shimmering blue. Serenia guided Auric to the front. "These are my people," she said, softly. "And you are now part of our story." The chamber fell silent as the council observed Auric. Some leaned forward, curious, others nodded subtly in recognition. He felt a strange mixture of awe and nervousness. He had faced countless dangers in his life, but walking into a room where an entire alien culture watched him with expectation was new. One of the council members, a tall being with translucent wings, stepped forward. "Serenia has spoken of your actions," the figure said, voice melodic and commanding. "Saving her life has set in motion events that cannot be ignored. You have demonstrated courage and ingenuity, traits we value highly. Tell us, human, do you understand the meaning of the bond you share with our citizen?" Auric swallowed. I think so. You mean, because I helped her? She owes me something?" The figure tilted its head, wings fluttering slightly. "It is more than debt. It is connection, protection, loyalty, and it extends to those who hold influence over her. By saving her life, you have become part of our society, whether you wish it or not." Auric blinked. "Part of your society? That's unexpected." Serenia stepped forward. "You need not fear. I will guide you. The bond does not force you to act against your nature, but it does open doors, doors that would otherwise remain closed." Auric ran a hand through his hair. "So, what you're saying is, I saved you, and now I'm involved in your politics, your culture, everything?" "Yes," Serenia said simply. "And in time, you will see the advantages. Your skills, your decisions, your thinking, all are valued. Humans have a perspective that is rare among our people. You will find that respect and admiration grow quickly when you demonstrate such qualities." Auric's stomach tightened. He was used to challenges, but this was different. He was used to navigating dangers alone, making decisions for survival. Now he was expected to navigate an entire alien society, guided by someone who owed him her life, and perhaps her loyalty and influence as well. The council member raised a hand. "You will remain among us for a period of learning and observation. During this time, you will see the depth of the bond your actions have created. And you will understand the value of human courage and insight." Auric nodded slowly, still trying to wrap his mind around the idea. "Learning and observation. Okay, I can do that." Serenia smiled, placing a hand lightly on his arm. "You do not yet see the full extent of what this means, Auric, but you will. And when you do, you may find that helping one person can change more than just a life. It can change worlds." Over the next several days, Auric moved through Lithera Prime under Serenia's guidance. He observed daily life, learned customs, and met beings whose intelligence and abilities were extraordinary. He realized that the society valued not just strength, but ingenuity, creativity, and courage, qualities humans had in abundance. And, though he sometimes doubted his place, he noticed subtle signs of respect from those around him. One evening, Serenia led him to a balcony overlooking the city. The sun had set, and the bioluminescent forests glowed beneath them like a sea of stars. "Do you understand now?" she asked softly. "The debt, the bond, the consequences of your actions?" Auric looked at the vast city below, then at Serenia. He nodded slowly. "I think I do. Saving you. It wasn't just one life, it's bigger than that." "I didn't know it at the time, but yeah, I get it now." Serenia's eyes softened. "Good. That understanding is the first step. In time, you will see that humans have a way of influencing events in ways others cannot. You saved me, Auric, and that simple act will ripple through our society in ways even I cannot predict. Auric smiled faintly. I guess. I better be ready then. Yes, she said, looking at him with quiet admiration. You already are. For the first time, Auric felt the weight of responsibility, not as a soldier or traveler, but as someone whose actions had set in motion forces far beyond himself, and he realized that his life, and perhaps the lives of many others, had been changed forever. The stars stretched endlessly above them, promising adventure, challenge, and discovery. And somewhere deep inside, Auric felt a spark of excitement. Whatever lay ahead, he knew one thing for certain. Humanity had left its mark, and it would continue to do so in ways no one could imagine. The city of Lithera Prime was alive with energy as Auric followed Serenia through its streets. The buildings shimmered like crystal towers, reflecting sunlight in dazzling patterns. Bridges of light connected structures, and streams of floating vehicles zipped between them. For a human accustomed to crowded spaceports and chaotic cities, this was unlike anything he had ever seen. Serenia moved confidently, weaving through the crowds with ease. Auric could feel eyes following him, subtle but unmistakable. Some beings whispered to one another, their expressions curious, even respectful. He realized that saving Serenia had done more than protect a life. It had opened doors in a society where influence and reputation were everything. Why are they looking at me like that? Auric asked quietly, glancing around. They are assessing you, Serenia said. Your actions, your presence, even your mannerisms. Humans are rare among us, and those who save lives earn notice quickly. Your courage is already known to some. Auric rubbed the back of his neck. I didn't come here for attention. I just helped. Most would not, Serenia replied. You did. That is enough to make you stand out. But it is not just courage. Your thinking, your perspective, it is different. That is valued here, sometimes more than strength or power. Their path led to a grand hall at the center of the city. It was unlike any council chamber Auric had seen. The walls glowed, faintly, pulsing with energy. Holographic displays floated in the air, showing maps, data streams, and records. The council members were present, seated in a circular formation. Today, Serenia said softly, you will participate in a problem-solving session. It is informal, but it is important. Watch, learn, and contribute. Your insight is anticipated. Auric swallowed. Problem-solving sessions with alien leaders were not something he had prepared for, but he trusted Serenia, and he had always thrived in unexpected situations. As they entered, the room fell silent. The council members' eyes, each different in shape and color, turned toward him. Some leaned forward, curious. Others regarded him cautiously. A tall, winged member spoke first. Auric Vane, you are known to have saved Serenia. Your actions demonstrate courage and quick thinking. Today, you will see a challenge we have been facing, and we wish to hear your approach. Auric nodded slowly. I'll do my best. Serenia guided him to a console that displayed a holographic map of the planet. This is the northern region, she explained. Recent storms have caused severe flooding and several communities are isolated. Our engineers are working to repair the transport routes, but progress is slow. We need ideas, quickly. Auric leaned forward, studying the holographic map. Roads were blocked, bridges washed away, and some areas were completely cut off. He tapped a few controls, highlighting different sectors. Why not use the existing energy grids to transport supplies, he suggested. They run across the region. If you can adapt the grids temporarily for hoverpods or cargo units, you can move essentials without waiting for roads to be rebuilt. One of the council members tilted their head, wings fluttering. Interesting, But the grids were not designed for physical transport. Attempting such a thing could risk damage to the energy network. Yes, Auric admitted. But with careful routing and low-speed travel, it could work. You already have hover units capable of moving on magnetic fields. Using the energy grids as temporary paths minimizes risk and speeds up delivery. Serenya's eyes sparkled with quiet approval. That is exactly the kind of solution we were hoping for. The council members murmured among themselves, clearly intrigued. Auric's suggestions were practical, but they also reflected a human perspective, solving problems with limited resources, thinking outside standard protocols, and using ingenuity rather than raw power. After an hour of discussion, they agreed to implement a trial based on Auric's ideas. Within a day, small hoverpods began moving along the energy grids, carrying food, water, and medical supplies to the flooded areas. The operation worked better than anyone expected. Communities once cut off were connected again, and lives were improved. Auric watched from a balcony overlooking the northern sector, a small smile on his face. "Looks like it worked," he said. Serenya stood beside him, her expression one of quiet pride. "You did this," she said softly. "Your thinking made the difference. My people respect action, but they admire insight even more. You have influenced them." Auric shook his head in disbelief. "Me? I'm just human." "Human, yes," Serenya said. "But your perspective is rare. That is why the bond matters. It gave you access, it gave you opportunity, and it revealed your abilities." Over the next week, Auric became more involved in the council's informal problem-solving sessions. He observed disputes between communities, suggested improvements for energy management, and helped design strategies for agricultural development. Each time, his ideas were unconventional by alien standards, yet they worked. Slowly, the council and the citizens began to see him not as an outsider, but as a valuable contributor. One afternoon, Serenya took him to a meeting with a group of engineers working on energy harnessing. The engineers were struggling with a system that converted raw planetary energy into usable power for the city. The converters overheated frequently, causing shutdowns. "Have you considered modular distribution?" Auric asked, pointing to the holographic schematics. "Instead of sending energy from one central hub, divide it into smaller sections that can operate independently. If one section overheats, the others continue running. It minimizes risk and keeps the system stable." The engineers paused, exchanging glances. One stepped forward and began adjusting the system according to his instructions. Within hours, the system's efficiency increased significantly. The engineers were amazed. "You see," Serenya said quietly as they walked away, "even small suggestions can have a large impact. Humans approach problems differently. Your insight is appreciated." Auric laughed softly. "I never thought saving someone could lead to this. I mean, I didn't expect to become a problem solver for an entire planet." "Sometimes greatness comes from small acts," Serenya replied. "You saved me, and now you save others, not with weapons or force, but with your mind. That is influence." The next challenge came in the form of a diplomatic dispute. Two neighboring cities had conflicting claims over water rights from a shared river. The situation had escalated to tension and minor skirmishes. Serenya invited Auric to observe and contribute ideas. Auric studied the situation carefully. He proposed a solution that balanced both sides' needs: rotating water access schedules, shared maintenance of irrigation channels, and a cooperative council to oversee future disputes. The simplicity of the solution impressed the council. Within days, the two cities agreed to the plan, avoiding potential conflict. "You are doing what many of our leaders could not," Serenya said later. "Humans have a way of seeing solutions that others overlook. You are extraordinary, Auric, not because of strength, but because of perspective. Auric felt a mixture of pride and humility. He had faced life-and-death situations countless times, but influencing an entire society through intelligence and creativity was new territory. It was exciting, and it made him realize something about humans. Their greatest strength was their adaptability. As the days passed, Auric began to see subtle changes. Citizens greeted him warmly, some even bowing slightly in respect. Council members consulted him before decisions, valuing his perspective. And everywhere he went, Serenya's presence reminded him of the bond they shared, a bond that connected him not just to her, but to an entire world. One evening, as they walked along a bridge overlooking the glowing forests, Serenya spoke quietly. "You may not realize it yet, Auric, but your influence grows with each action. Your solutions, your courage, your insight, they all matter. And soon, you will face challenges that test not just your mind, but your character." Auric nodded, watching the bioluminescent glow below. "I get it. I saved you, yes. But now, it's bigger. Much bigger than either of us imagined." Serenya smiled. "And that is only the beginning. Humanity leaves marks not just through power, but through thought, courage, and heart. You are proving that every day." For the first time, Auric felt a true sense of purpose beyond survival. His journey was no longer just about exploring or traveling. It was about making a real difference, about showing what humans could accomplish in ways that others could not even imagine. The stars above. Lithera Prime twinkled like a promise, endless and full of possibility. And somewhere in the heart of this alien world, a human had begun to leave a mark that would grow, ripple, and inspire in ways that would shape the future. Auric smiled faintly. "I guess helping one person really can change more than just a life." Serenya's hand brushed lightly against his arm. "Indeed, and together we will see just how far that influence can reach." The wind whispered around them, carrying the scent of the forests below and the quiet hum of the city. Auric knew the path ahead would not be simple. Challenges would come, difficult decisions would be required, and tests of character would follow. But for the first time, he felt ready. Humans, he realized, were not just survivors. They were thinkers, problem solvers, and, when given the chance, leaders in ways that no one could predict. And as long as he honored the bond he had earned, Auric knew that his place in this society, and perhaps the universe, was only beginning. The days on Lithera Prime flowed like the silver rivers that ran through its cities, smooth yet full of surprises. Captain Auric Vane moved with purpose now, no longer the hesitant stranger who had arrived weeks ago. He had seen the impact of his ideas, his problem-solving, and his courage. Citizens and council members alike recognized him as someone who brought results, not through force, but through thought, ingenuity, and determination. Yet for all the progress he had made, the most powerful change was not in the city, nor among its leaders. It was in the bond between him and Serenya. The pair often walked together along the bridges, connecting the glowing towers, discussing city projects, logistics, and ways to help the communities. Each time, Auric noticed small details he had overlooked before. The curve of Serenya's smile when an idea worked, the intensity in her gaze when she analyzed a problem, and the quiet confidence she carried in every gesture. One evening, as the twin moons of Lithera Prime rose in the sky, painting the city in shades of silver and violet, they stood on a balcony overlooking the central plaza. Citizens below moved gracefully, their glowing forms reflecting in the water channels that crisscrossed the city. The scene was breathtaking, but it was Serenya beside him that held his attention. "You've done more than I expected," she said softly, her hand brushing against his arm. "Your insight has saved lives, prevented conflicts, and strengthened our society. I cannot overstate the impact of your presence here." Auric felt a warmth rise in his chest. I didn't come here to be admired. I just tried to do the right thing. That is what makes it remarkable, Serenia replied. Your actions are not driven by desire for recognition, but by instinct, compassion, and intelligence. These qualities are rare. He looked out, over the city, then back at her. It feels strange. I came here by accident, helped you, and now, somehow, I'm part of your society. People respect me. You respect me. It's more than I ever expected. Serenia's gaze softened. The bond between us is at the heart of this. I owe you my life, my loyalty, my future. That debt allows me to show you my trust, and in time, my affection. Auric blinked. Affection? Yes, she said simply. Trust can lead to many things. Among humans, it is called friendship. Sometimes it grows into something deeper. That is happening now, Auric. And it is mutual. For the first time, Auric felt the weight of the bond between them in a personal, emotional way. It was no longer just respect, admiration, or duty. It was something far more intimate. He realized that humans were capable of forming deep connections, and in this alien world, that connection was not only recognized but valued. Their conversations soon turned from logistics and problem-solving to shared stories of their pasts. Auric told Serenia about his life as a traveler, the planets he had visited, and the challenges he had faced. Serenia spoke of her upbringing on Lithera Prime, her training, and the traditions of her people. Each story strengthened their understanding of one another, weaving a tapestry of trust and companionship that grew with every passing day. One afternoon, Auric was invited to a meeting with several council members to discuss security improvements in the northern sectors. The flood relief operations had gone smoothly, but there were still minor issues with transport and energy distribution. Auric listened carefully as representatives voiced their concerns. Then he suggested a system of decentralized command hubs, allowing smaller teams to make decisions quickly based on local conditions. This approach minimized delays, reduced bottlenecks, and allowed for rapid response during emergencies. The council members exchanged impressed glances. One of them, a being with translucent wings and luminous eyes, spoke. Your human perspective is valuable. You see solutions where others see obstacles. This approach will strengthen our society. Auric shrugged modestly. I just look at what's in front of me and think about what makes sense. I don't claim to know everything. Serenia placed a hand lightly on his arm. And yet, your contributions have reshaped how our people approach problems. That is the power of human thought. As the meeting concluded, Serenia led Auric to a quiet garden on the rooftop of the council building. Bioluminescent plants glowed softly, and the air was fragrant with alien flowers. You have done well, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. But there is more to leadership than solving problems. Influence is also about loyalty, trust, and relationships. Auric nodded slowly. I see that now. I thought I was just helping, but it's more than that. People look to me. They respect me, and I respect you. Serenia's eyes softened. And that respect has grown into something deeper. Our bond is not just obligation, it is choice. And in that choice there is affection. In time, perhaps, love. Auric felt a strange mix of excitement and nervousness. He had faced countless dangers, negotiated with hostile factions, and solved complex problems. Yet this personal connection, was more challenging than any battle he had fought. Over the next few days, Auric continued to rise in influence. He was consulted on city planning, resource distribution, and diplomatic matters. Each decision he made reflected humanity's unique approach, creative, resourceful, and always mindful of consequences. Citizens began to recognize him as a figure of respect and even admiration. One evening, as he returned from a council session, Serenia met him at the shuttle port. "You are becoming well known," she said, a playful smile on her lips. "The people speak of your cleverness and courage. It is inspiring." Auric laughed softly. "I didn't come here for fame. I just wanted to help." "And yet you inspire," Serenia replied. "That is part of the bond. When one human acts with integrity and intelligence, it changes not only individual lives, but also the perception of your species as a whole. You have begun to show our people the value of humanity." As they walked through the glowing streets, citizens paused to acknowledge them. Some bowed slightly. Others offered greetings in their melodic language. Auric realized that the bond he shared with Serenia extended beyond personal loyalty. It had become a bridge between cultures. Humans, through one small act of courage, were now respected and admired across a society he had never expected to influence. Later, they reached a quiet overlook above the city. The twin moons cast silver light across the rivers and towers. Serenia turned to him. "You have earned not only respect but trust," she said softly. "And trust leads to loyalty. Loyalty leads to affection, and affection can become love." Auric met her gaze. I think I understand. It's not just about actions. It's about connection, choices, and care. And I care for you." Serenia's expression brightened. "And I care for you, Auric. That is the gift of our bond. It is more than duty. It is shared understanding, respect, and emotion. Together, we can face challenges that neither of us could face alone." Over the following weeks, Auric and Serenia's bond grew stronger. They worked side by side on projects, shared quiet moments watching the moons rise, and began to understand each other in ways that transcended language and culture. Their trust in one another became a foundation not only for their personal connection but also for the broader society. One afternoon, a minor crisis tested their partnership. A sudden energy fluctuation threatened the city's northern sector, risking disruption to power and transportation. Auric and Serenia coordinated with engineers and city officials, analyzing the problem, proposing solutions, and supervising implementation. Through calm reasoning, quick decisions, and teamwork, they stabilized the system before any serious damage occurred. Afterwards, Serenia looked at him with admiration. "You see? Your presence, your decisions, your ability to act calmly under pressure. All of this inspires loyalty, not just from me, but from everyone around us." Auric smiled. "I never thought being human could make this much difference. I always imagined I'd just survive, maybe explore, maybe get into trouble. But this feels bigger, important." Serenia nodded. "It is important. You have shown that humans are capable of leadership, compassion, and clever solutions. And more than that, you have shown that humans can form bonds that transcend cultures, that inspire trust, loyalty, and even love." That evening, as they stood together on the balcony looking out at the glowing city below, Auric felt a deep sense of purpose. He had begun as a traveler, a wanderer passing through an alien world. Now, he was more than that. He was a trusted figure, a bridge between species, and a partner to Serenia in both bond and affection. For the first time, he understood that the universe was not only about survival or exploration, it was about connection, influence, and the power of courage, insight, and heart. Humanity, he realized, was capable of leaving marks far greater than any weapon could achieve. The stars above Lithera Prime twinkled, silent witnesses to the growing bond between human and alien, trust and loyalty, affection and admiration. And, in that quiet night, Auric Vane understood that his journey was only beginning, and that together he and Serenia could face whatever challenges awaited them, hand in hand, heart to heart. The glow of Lithera Prime's twin moons bathed the city in silver light, casting long shadows across the crystal spires and bioluminescent forests. Captain Auric Vane stood on the balcony of the council hall, looking out at the city he had come to know and now influence. It had been weeks since he first stepped onto this world, weeks filled with challenges, learning, and the gradual growth of respect. But tonight, he felt something new, a sense of purpose that stretched far beyond survival or problem-solving. Serenia appeared beside him, her silver hair shimmering softly in the moonlight. "The council wishes to meet with you tonight," she said, her voice calm yet carrying weight. "There is a matter that concerns not only your bond with me, but your role among our people." Auric turned to her, curiosity and caution mixing. "My role? I thought I was just helping." "You have done more than help," she said. "You have shown insight, courage, and leadership. Our people respect action, but they admire vision, and your vision has guided them well." He shook his head, unsure how to respond. Humans were not accustomed to being elevated in this way, not in a foreign culture. And yet the truth was undeniable. His ideas, his courage, and his presence had shaped the lives of countless citizens on Lithera Prime. They entered the council hall, where members waited in solemn rows. Crystal panels glowed with information, and the air hummed with energy. At the center stood the tallest figure, cloaked in robes of deep blue. It was the head of the council, a being whose translucent wings reflected the soft light. Auric Vane, the council head began, voice resonant and commanding. "You have demonstrated remarkable courage, insight, and dedication in the days since you arrived. Your contributions have saved lives, prevented conflict, and inspired loyalty among our Bay citizens. You have done what few outsiders could, and what many of our own leaders could not." Auric bowed slightly, unused to such formal praise. "Thank you. I just tried to do what made sense. That's all." The council head's eyes glimmered. "You have gone beyond mere action. You have become a symbol of what humanity can achieve, adaptability, intelligence, and compassion combined. And in recognition of your influence and the bond you share with Serenia, we wish to honor you in a way that has never been done before." Auric frowned slightly, unsure what to expect. "Honor me? How?" The council members exchanged nods, and Serenia stepped forward. "Auric," she said softly, "your bond with me, your courage, and your insight have not gone unnoticed. Our people recognize leadership not only through tradition, but through merit. And you have shown merit beyond measure." A hush fell over the chamber. The council head spoke again. "By unanimous agreement, Auric Vane is granted the title of Protector and Guide of Lithera Prime, a role reserved for those who demonstrate extraordinary wisdom, bravery, and dedication to the well-being of our society. You will serve alongside Serenia, with authority to act in matters of innovation, strategy, and guidance. In essence, you are now recognized as a king among our people." Auric froze. "A king?" He had expected acknowledgement, perhaps. Respect. But this? It was almost beyond comprehension. Serenia smiled gently. "You are not a king by birth, Auric. You are a king by action, by insight, and by the bond we share. Your influence is earned, and it is rightful." The council members murmured in agreement. Some bowed slightly, others nodded in quiet respect. Citizens who had gathered in the plaza below cheered as the news spread. The human who had saved their beloved Serenia was now recognized as a figure of guidance and leadership. Auric's mind raced. He thought of all the challenges he had faced. Fleeing Lithera 7, navigating alien politics, solving complex problems, and earning the trust of Serenia and her people. None of it had prepared him for this moment. And yet, he felt an unexpected calm. Humans were adaptable, resourceful, and resilient. He had survived countless dangers, and now he would lead in a way that reflected humanity's strengths. "Thank you," he said quietly, turning to Serenia. I don't know if I deserve this, but I will do my best. For you and for your people." Serenia placed her hand lightly on his arm. "You already have earned it, Auric. And you will continue to prove yourself, not through titles, but through action. That is what makes a true leader." The council head spoke again. "Tonight we celebrate not only your recognition, but the bond between human and Lithuran. Your story is a testament to the power of courage, intellect, and loyalty. May your leadership inspire future generations." Auric felt a swell of pride, tempered by humility. He had never sought power or status, but he understood the significance of this moment. He was not a king in the traditional sense, but a symbol, a bridge between worlds, a living example of humanity's potential. The ceremony concluded, and citizens poured into the streets to celebrate. Lanterns floated above the city, glowing softly, while music and laughter echoed through the air. Auric and Serenia stood together on a balcony, watching the joy unfold below. "This is incredible," Auric said, his voice quiet. "I never imagined helping someone could lead to this." Serenia smiled, her eyes reflecting the moonlight. "That is the power of bonds, Auric. One act of courage can ripple through lives, societies, and even worlds. You have proven that humans leave marks not through domination, but through insight, loyalty, and heart." Over the following days, Auric embraced his new role. He worked alongside Serenia, guiding initiatives, offering insight into complex challenges, and fostering cooperation between cities. His human perspective continued to offer innovative solutions, ways to optimize energy distribution, improve agriculture, and strengthen diplomacy. Citizens came to admire not only his intelligence, but also his humility. He did not demand respect, he earned it. And through his actions, the reputation of humanity grew among the Lithurans. The bond he shared with Serenia became a model of partnership, trust, and mutual respect. A reminder that courage and heart could bridge the gap between species. One evening, as they walked along a floating bridge above the city, Serenia turned to him. "Auric, there is something more I wish to share. The bond we have, it is not only loyalty and trust, it is also affection. It is love. And now, with your recognition as protector and guide, that bond is honored publicly as well." Auric felt a warmth rise in his chest. I feel the same. You've changed my life, Serenia. Not just by needing help, but by showing me what connection, loyalty, and love truly mean." She took his hand gently, intertwining their fingers. "And you have shown me the same, Auric. Through courage, insight, and heart, you have proven that humans are extraordinary. Not through force, but through action, thought, and care. Together, we are stronger." The city below glittered, alive, with celebration. Citizens cheered, citizens waved, and some even sang songs in honor of Auric and Serenia. It was a moment of joy, a celebration of courage, partnership, and the power of bonds. Auric smiled, realizing that this was more than recognition. It was a confirmation that humanity's strengths were being honored. Courage, intelligence, compassion, and loyalty could influence societies, inspire admiration, and build bridges between worlds. The following weeks were a whirlwind of activity. Auric oversaw projects, coordinated with leaders, and traveled to distant cities to advise on development. His influence expanded, not as a ruler seeking power, but as a human whose actions and insights had earned trust. And everywhere he went, he saw the result of his presence, People working together, communities thriving, and the respect for humanity growing stronger. Through it all, Serenia remained his constant companion, partner, and confidant. Their bond deepened, moving from trust to admiration, and finally to love. The citizens came to see their partnership as a symbol of what cooperation, understanding, and connection could achieve. One evening, standing together on the balcony of the council hall, Auric looked out at the city and said quietly, "I never expected to become this. A king, in a sense, someone whose decisions matter so much. But I understand now. It's not the title that matters. It's the action, the bond, the influence. And it's you, Serenia. You made all this possible." Smiled, her hand resting on his arm. "No, Auric. You made this possible. I only showed you the path. You walked it with courage, wisdom, and heart. That is why you are a leader, a protector, and now, in the eyes of our people, a king." The stars above Lithera Prime twinkled, silently, reflecting in the silver rivers below. In that quiet night, Auric understood the full scope of his journey. From a single act of bravery, helping a stranger in need, he had risen to a position of influence, respect, and love. Humanity had left its mark, not through domination, but through courage, intelligence, and heart. And standing beside him, Serenia's hand in his, Auric realized something more profound. The universe was full of opportunity for those willing to act with integrity, insight, and compassion. One human, acting with courage, could change the fate of a world. And together, human and Litheran, they would continue to shape the future. One action, one decision, one bond at a time. Auric smiled, feeling the quiet power of the bond between them. He had arrived as a traveler, a stranger in a strange world. Now he was a leader, a partner, and a symbol of humanity's potential. And as the moons of Lithera Prime reflected in the crystal towers below, he knew that this was only the beginning. The universe was vast, full of challenges and discoveries yet to come. But Auric Vane was ready.